people see me opening a pop-up book or they opening it themselves, they get surprised because this flat object is all of a sudden turning into a sculpture. We don't grow up learning about things like origami, so I think that it's kind of magical. I got my degree in photography, and shortly after graduating, I wanted to do something more hands-on. I went into the bookstore and discovered that there's this whole world of pop-up books. People think of pop-up books as children's pop-up books, you know, Cinderella, The Lion King. And when I saw that, I decided, well, let me use my photographs and make books like that, those children's pop-up books, but using photographs instead. So pop-up photography to me is literally using the same mechanics that a pop-up book is made out of, but using photographs. So the first books that I made, I used photographs that I had already taken in grad school for my thesis project. My work is so different now, but it was more about the body and facade and superficiality. So I used those photos and learned how to make pop-ups from those. To me, they were just kind of like sculptures, photographic sculptures, and they collapsed, but I call them pop-up books still because that's where they were inspired from. Growing up in New Jersey, I didn't have any Chinese friends. I didn't really want to identify as Chinese. I was a very shy kid, and a lot of people would say things like chink or make fun of me because I was Chinese. And I didn't understand any of that. I just physically did not want to look Chinese to kids that would call out things. So the first time I went to China was right after graduating from college. The dean from one of the universities there, when we were traveling to Yunnan, to Kunming, which is the capital of Yunnan, he asked me if I wanted to teach English. So I was like, okay. And he said, we'll pay for everything. Most of the students were from different minority groups within the province. And so during that time, I learned also that my mom was from one of those minority groups called the Yi. Also that my great-grandfather had helped start the university because he had been governor of the province and general of the army from 1927 to 1945. I felt kind of like this sense of pride. In 2008, I got a Fulbright scholarship. My project was to create a photographic pop-up book of the 25 ethnic minority groups of China's southwest Yunnan province. So I spent 2008 photographing different groups within Yunnan, and then 2009 I started popping them up. In 2014, I went as an artist in residence in Shanghai. And that's the time that I decided to travel outside of Yunnan. So I went to other provinces. So I was able to use all of that monetary award to travel in the 6 months to places like Xinjiang, which is northwest China. It's very far from Shanghai and Inner Mongolia. There are 55 officially recognized minority groups in China. There's 56 nationalities, 55 minorities. The majority is the Han. Han represent about 91% of the population, and then that less than 9% throughout China is minority. And then in Yunnan, almost half of the minorities live there. So that's why I chose to stay in Yunnan. I also learned Chinese in Yunnan, so I learned Yunnan dialect. I guess part of it was growing up, I had darker skin or wavier hair or bigger build. And then when I went to Yunnan, it was just a really weird experience to just sitting on the bus and looking across and seeing this other Chinese person that was like, oh wow, we look really alike. They don't think that we look really alike, but I'm not used to seeing people that look so similar here. These are laser prints right now. I just printed them small like this and I pieced them together to make the background so that I can get an idea of when I do pop the figures in the front, I can see if it looks too busy or not busy enough. I want to make sure that, like this man is not blocking the mouse's face or blocking something in the back. Kind of like having that, when you take a photograph, you don't want somebody to have a plant coming out of the top of their head. That same thing. And I can't visualize that in the computer. I want to make like a room-sized pop-up book. But I'd like to make a bigger one where you can walk into it.
We shall open the book with great fanfare, people with horns, and great fanfare, people with petals, yes, and then an official measuring. If you will do the honors, Colette Fu. Ta-da!
We just had an official measuring ceremony for the Guinness Book of World Records world's largest pop-up book. It measured 13 feet 10 inches by 21 feet and I think an inch.
I guess I use these pop-up books as a goal. So they become a product of showing what I've learned to myself, well, not to other people too. In the end, I guess I'd like to educate people because China's not just this big country of what people typically associate China as. It's very diverse.